Hello, I'm here as your guide through the language of the stars, not as something distant or abstract, but as a living force that moves through your experiences, shaping your path in ways that are deeply personal and profoundly timed. In today's video, we're diving into a pivotal moment that many fear, but few truly understand: the Saturn return. If you're around the age of 29, you may already be feeling it. Friendships shifting, relationships ending, goals losing their meaning. Something inside you knows things can't continue the way they were. And that intuition is not a coincidence. It's Saturn. This planetary cycle, which returns roughly every 29.5 years, is not here to punish you. It's here to realign you. To ask, have you built a life that's truly yours, or one that was expected of you? And if you're Scorpio, a sign born to transform through death and rebirth, this isn't just a transition, it's a rite of passage, a stripping away of what no longer serves so that you can rise in a form that is clearer, stronger, more aligned. In the next section, we'll explore how Saturn's return is playing out through the different astrological houses, showing you piece by piece that what feels like loss may actually be a sacred reconstruction. Let's begin. Saturn in the first house. Who are you when everything falls apart? This is not simply a difficult phase of life. It is a reckoning with your very sense of self. When Saturn returns to your first house, it brings with it a quiet but powerful demand to strip down everything you think you are and ask if it's truly you. This is the house of identity, of the I am statement that sits at the core of your being. And when Saturn visits here, it does not come gently. It arrives like a mirror that cannot be avoided, one that reflects not who you pretend to be, but who you've become by default, by conditioning, by habit. You may wake up one morning and feel like you've lost your edge, like the version of you that used to walk into a room with conviction now hesitates at the door. There may be no big external crisis, and yet internally, everything is shifting. You might look in the mirror and feel disconnected from what you see, as if the person staring back is only a faint echo of who you once were. Or perhaps you feel invisible altogether, unsure of what role you play in the world, now that the old titles, the old masks, no longer fit. But let me be clear, this disorientation is not a sign that you're lost. It's a sign that you're becoming. Saturn doesn't dismantle your identity to hurt you. It does so to make space for a truer version of yourself to take form. A version that is not performing for approval, not hustling for worth, not shaped by what the world told you should be. This is your shedding. This is your unbecoming, in the most sacred sense of the word. During this time, you may feel raw, exposed, and unanchored. You may question your appearance, your presence, your role, your voice. You might doubt everything you once took pride in. But that's part of Saturn's work, to force you to stop defining yourself by what is external and to build your sense of self from the inside out. It is the uncomfortable silence after the applause fades, the quiet space where you learn to validate yourself, perhaps for the first time. And here's the truth, Scorpio. This is your element. You were never meant to live on the surface. You are the sign of depth, of shadow work, of psychological rebirth. You understand that real power often begins in the void. And Saturn in your first house is asking you to claim that power, not through image, but through essence. The challenge during this transit is clear: self-doubt, disconnection from your identity, and a temporary loss of direction. But beneath that challenge lies your greatest initiation. You are not falling apart, you are falling inward. The transformation is profound. A version of you begins to take form that is quieter, more grounded, and unshakable. This version doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It doesn't need constant affirmation. It stands simply and wholly because it knows who it is. The message is this: let the old image fall. Let the borrowed identities crumble. Let go of the need to be seen in a certain way. What remains, even when the world isn't looking, is who you really are. And that is enough. In the next section, we'll follow Saturn's journey into the seventh house, where relationships are no longer places of comfort or escape, but mirrors of truth. Because once you've met yourself again, the question becomes, can you meet someone else from that same place of honesty? Saturn in the seventh house, is it real love or just an illusion? When Saturn returns to the seventh house, it turns its attention toward the realm of relationships, not just romantic ones, but all forms of significant partnerships. This house rules the people we choose to stand beside us in life: lovers, spouses, close friends, business allies. It represents our reflection in other, and Saturn, being the planet of truth and karmic structure, wastes no time pointing out where the cracks have been quietly forming beneath the surface. If you're in a relationship, this is the season where the reality of that bond will be tested, not through random conflict, but through the slow, steady pressure that Saturn is known for. You may begin to see your partner more clearly, their limitations, their emotional patterns, their unresolved wounds. More importantly, you'll begin to see your own, the ways you may have depended on love to fill a void, to escape loneliness, or to define your self-worth. If the relationship is grounded in truth, patience, and mutual respect, it will deepen, perhaps even become unshakable. But if it's built on fantasy, fear, or avoidance, Saturn will not allow it to continue untouched. For those who are single during this transit, there may be a growing hunger for real connection, not casual companionship, not the thrill of attention, but something meaningful, a relationship with depth, substance, and potential. Yet that craving will likely be matched with fear. Fear of vulnerability, fear of choosing wrong, fear of opening up, only to be hurt again. Saturn doesn't make love impossible. It just demands that love be rooted in maturity. No more illusions, no more projection, no more chasing after unavailable people or settling for half-hearted commitments. Saturn asks, are you ready to love from a place of wholeness, not lack? This is a time when solitude may visit more often. You may feel abandoned, disappointed, or simply weary of connection altogether. It's easy to confuse this with failure, but Saturn is not punishing you. It is reorienting you. You are being given space to learn that you are not incomplete on your own, that your worth is not measured by who chooses to stay, and that real love that nourishes, that holds, that expands, can only begin when both people are standing in their own center. The challenge here is real. Breakups, emotional distance, revelations that a relationship was never truly balanced. But hidden within these challenges is the key to something greater. You are being offered the chance to redefine what love means to you, not as a fairy tale, but as a conscious, sacred partnership between equals. One where truth is more important than comfort, and where growth is more important than avoidance. The transformation is this: you begin to love, not because you need to be saved or seen, but because you are already whole and you want to meet someone else who is too. You stop chasing connection and begin inviting it. You stop fearing loneliness and begin embracing your own presence. And the message Saturn brings is clear. Saturn doesn't destroy love. It destroys illusion. What remains after the illusion fades is the kind of love that can last a lifetime. In the next section, we'll step into the 10th house, the domain of career, purpose, and legacy. Because once you've redefined who you are and who you walk with, the next question Saturn will ask is, what are you here to build? Saturn in the 10th house, what were you born to do? When Saturn returns to the 10th house, it casts a long and serious gaze on your place in the world, not the life you live in private, but the one you build in public. This is the house of career, ambition, reputation, and legacy. It governs not just what you do to earn a living, but how your efforts echo beyond you, how you contribute, lead, and leave your mark. And when Saturn moves through this space, it asks the question you can no longer avoid. Are you building something that will last, or just something that looks good from the outside? You may begin to feel that the work you once took pride in no longer holds the same meaning. You may feel undervalued, stalled, or passed over despite how much effort you've given. The recognition you expected might not come. The promotions may be delayed. There could be setbacks that feel unfair or deeply personal. But Saturn isn't interested in speed. Saturn is interested in substance. This planet doesn't reward shortcuts or superficial achievements. It clears the path of distraction and forces you to return to the foundations. It's asking, why are you doing this? And is it aligned with who you truly are? This can be a deeply uncomfortable period, especially if your identity has been tied to your performance or your ability to succeed in traditional terms. If you've chased a title, status, or external validation, you may feel like the ground beneath you is being pulled away. And in a sense, it is. Not to make you fall, but to bring you down to something more real, more sustainable. Saturn in the 10th house wants you to stop climbing someone else's ladder and start building your own structure. One that can support not just your ambitions, but your integrity. The challenge of this transit often comes in the form of disillusionment. You may wonder why your hard work isn't paying off the way it used to. You may feel like a failure, especially when comparing yourself to others who seem to be moving faster. But the deeper truth is that Saturn is slowing you down for a reason. You are being invited to move beyond the idea of career as survival or even career as success and into the realm of vocation. This is your calling, your soul's work, the thing only you can offer in the way only you can offer it. The transformation that happens here is powerful. You begin to align your outer work with your inner truth. You step into a path that is not only sustainable, but meaningful. You no longer work just to achieve or prove something. You work because it is a part of who you are. And from that place, success becomes something deeper. Not just applause or approval, but legacy, fulfillment, contribution. The message of Saturn here is simple but profound. It's not about fame. It's not about money. It's about purpose. That's what Saturn demands. And that's what will set you free. In the next section, we'll look at how Saturn's presence in the 4th house affects your roots, your family dynamics, and your inner emotional foundation. Because before you build anything lasting in the world, Saturn will make sure your inner home is strong enough to support it. Saturn in the 4th house. What still lives in your foundation? When Saturn returns to the 4th house, it doesn't just knock on the door of your home, it walks straight through it and inspects the beams. This is the realm of roots, childhood, family dynamics, ancestry, and the emotional structures you've carried since your earliest years. It is the private self, the hidden architecture behind the person you present to the world. And when Saturn arrives here, it demands one thing: clean house. This transit often begins subtly. You may feel unusually nostalgic or emotionally heavy without clear reason. Old memories surface. Family tensions you thought had been buried begin to stir again. You may even find yourself questioning where you truly belong, whether the home you've built, the people you call family, or the traditions you uphold still make sense to who you've become. Saturn here doesn't care about sentimentality. It cares about stability. And if your emotional foundation is cracked through inherited trauma, soft pain, or outdated belief, it will become impossible to ignore. The 4th house is also where we hold the most vulnerable parts of ourselves. The patterns we repeat without thinking, the expectations we internalized before we knew we had a choice, the silent rules passed down from our parents or caregivers. During this transit, you may find yourself confronting not just who raised you, but how you were raised and what that taught you to believe about safety, love, belonging, or your role in a family system. These realizations can be uncomfortable, they can shake you, but Saturn doesn't reveal them to punish you, it does so to give you a choice. You can continue to carry what was handed down, or you can become the one who breaks the cycle. This can also be a time of physical changes to your home or living environment. You may move, downsize, or return to a childhood home. Or you might feel an internal restlessness, the sense that the walls around you no longer reflect the person you are becoming. These changes, whether external or internal, are signals that your foundation is being restructured, not just to survive, but to hold you in a more conscious, grounded way. The challenge here lies in the emotional weight Saturn brings. You may feel isolated, burdened by family expectations, or grieve the realization that the past cannot be changed. But this grief, when met with honesty, becomes a portal. Because when you release what you no longer have to carry, you begin to parent yourself in a new way. You become the safe place. You become the structure. You become the home. And that is the transformation. The shift from emotional inheritance to emotional sovereignty. The move from carrying a legacy to choosing what kind of legacy you want to create for yourself and for those who come after you. Saturn does not ask you to be perfect. It does not expect you to have all the answers or to move through life with certainty. What it demands is honesty, responsibility, and the willingness to sit with discomfort long enough for it to become wisdom. It is the planet that clears the noise so you can hear the truth. And that truth is rarely loud or glamorous. It is quiet. It is steady. It speaks not in declarations, but in decisions. Not in feelings, but in foundations. If you are in your Saturn return now, whether you feel like your life is unraveling or you're just beginning to sense a shift, trust that nothing is happening by accident. You are not being broken. You are being rebuilt. The structures that are falling apart were never meant to last. The roles that no longer fit were never meant to define you. The people who are drifting away may have completed their part in your story. And while that truth may sting, it also frees you